Story 1. It all started on April 23, 2010, a day that began like any other but ended in a way that would forever change my perspective on life, death, and what lies beyond. I was involved in a severe car accident that day. The details of the crash itself are a blur to me, as I spent the following 5 weeks in a haze of critical care and rehab, grappling with short-term memory loss, and a hip injury that left me unable to walk for months. But it's not the accident itself that I want to talk about. It's what happened during those lost weeks that's truly remarkable. About 5 days after the wreck, still in the hospital and barely able to speak, I had an experience that I could only describe as a near-death experience, NDE. My brother was there playing my favorite hymn, In the Garden by Willie Nelson, a song that always took me back to my childhood rides with my grandfather. Suddenly, I was overwhelmed with emotion, not from sadness, but from an inexplicable joy. I told my brother and aunt who were with me that God and Jesus had been comforting me, holding me close. They were understandably shocked, especially since I hadn't been able to talk much until then. During my stay at the hospital, I apparently spoke often of visiting heaven, seeing my deceased grandparents, and even having conversations with Jesus. These are details I don't personally recall due to my memory issues, but my family assures me they happened. After being released to outpatient care, I stayed in my childhood bedroom, where I began experiencing vivid, lucid dreams as a side effect of my nerve pain medication. These weren't ordinary dreams, though. They were memories of my time in the hospital, moments I couldn't consciously remember. Sharing these dreams with my dad, he confirmed they were real events, suggesting my brain was slowly piecing together lost time. One dream in particular stood out. I recounted to my dad a vision where I observed my own body in the hospital, with him lying on the floor beside me, a detail he confirmed but had never shared with me. In this dream, my grandparents appeared, reassuring me of their protection, a sentiment my dad had unknowingly echoed during the accident. This journey didn't just stop with family reunions. I found myself in a gray void, traveling in a silent, floating vehicle with my grandparents, witnessing a horrifying scene of souls being led to hell, and then, the most beautiful sight imaginable, heaven. The vividness of these experiences, the conversations with Jesus about appreciating the beauty of life, and the glimpse into the creation of the universe were all so real, so transformative, that they left me with no doubt about the existence of an afterlife. Sharing the story with my dad, he encouraged me to write it down, leading to the self-publication of my experience as an ebook, The Day I Journeyed to Heaven by Alex Tyson. This journey, this glimpse into what lies beyond, has profoundly impacted my life, steering me onto a path filled with love, purpose, and a newfound appreciation for the natural world around us. As I look forward to welcoming my daughter into the world, I'm reminded of the incredible journey that brought me here. A journey that has not only changed my life, but has also touched the lives of others, helping some regain their faith. It's a story I felt compelled to share, a testament to the power of faith, love, and the eternal bond we share with those we hold dear, both in this life and beyond. This story was shared by Alex T. and happened in 2010. Story 2. Ever since I can remember, my life has been dotted with experiences that stretch beyond the ordinary, touching the mystical, paranormal, and metaphysical realms. I'd love to share some of these moments with you, moments that have profoundly shaped my understanding of the world beyond. Growing up, conversations about departed loved ones were common in my family, often accompanied by peculiar occurrences, like pictures inexplicably falling off walls. These experiences hinted at a thin veil between our world and another, a realm where our loved ones seemed to reach out, albeit in ways hard to understand. One evening in 1985, while my wife and son were down with the flu, I found myself engrossed in a metaphysics book by Connie Mendez. A line struck me, urging the reader to simply ask for help when needed. So I did, asking for wellness for Patricia and Eddie. That night, I experienced something extraordinary. I heard footsteps in our corridor, unmistakably like my grandfather's. Then, feeling his presence in our room, I saw the mattress dip as if someone had sat down, and I heard him assure me in my mind that he was there to help. This experience, though it scared me enough to wake my wife, reassured me deeply. This wasn't a one-off. Such communications became a regular part of my life, offering comfort and guidance at the most unexpected times. For instance, in 1994, after being attacked and stabbed, I found myself in an ambulance, fearing for my life. It was then that I felt the presence of my parents, reassuring me telepathically that I would be okay. A message that brought immense comfort amidst chaos. My journey with prostate cancer, diagnosed in 2009, and the subsequent battles, including a radical prostatectomy and radiation treatments, tested me in ways I never imagined. Yet it was during these trials that I learned to embrace the situation, supported by my loved ones, and saw it as a lesson in life's larger purpose. Despite the physical and emotional toll, I remained committed to healing, not just physically but spiritually, through meditation, mantras, and a relentless positivity. The side effects of treatments led to numerous hospital stays and surgeries, during which I longed for an out-of-body experience, OBE. This desire was fulfilled in December 2021, following an intestinal surgery. Unable to speak and overwhelmed with emotion in the ICU, I communicated through hand gestures, sharing with Patricia and a caregiver the profound beauty and love I had witnessed, an experience that left me mesmerized. However, by December 2022, the cumulative burden of my health struggles led me to a point of deep depression and isolation. It was a dark time, one where the joy of the holiday season felt distant and unreachable. Yet, it was during this period of profound fatigue and surrender that I experienced something miraculous. After a particularly exhausting day, I found myself in a state of blissful peace, enveloped in light and love, in what I can only describe as heaven. There, I felt the presence of my departed loved ones, and was given a choice. A divine message reminded me of my free will, prompting me to return to life with a renewed purpose. To share that death is not the end, but a transition to another form of existence. This near-death experience not only brought me back to life, but also to a state of health I hadn't known for years. Today, I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving, swimming, working, and living a life enriched by a deeper spiritual understanding. This journey, with its ups and downs, has been a blessing, offering me a glimpse into the profound interconnectedness of life, death, and the love that binds us all. This story was shared by Eduardo O. and happened in 2023. Story 3. Hanging out near my buddy Michael's place, right across the street from mine. We decided to head over to the side yard of his house for some playtime. Just the day before, we were in his backyard, and his mom had strictly warned us about their large German Shepherd. The dog was securely chained, with a leash that allowed him only about 10 feet of movement. We were mindful of that, especially after being cautioned. As we were getting lost in our games in the side yard, Michael suddenly muttered, "Doggy!" In an instant, the atmosphere shifted. The German Shepherd had somehow managed to free itself from its chain and was now sprinting around the corner towards me, barking fiercely. Panic took over, and I made a dash for the fence, attempting to scale it in a desperate bid for safety. But before I knew it, the dog had leaped and caught me by the shoulder, pulling me down to the ground. The next thing I knew, I was observing the chaotic scene from an inexplicable vantage point about 15 feet up in the air. Moments later, my dad appeared, heroically jumping the fence to rescue me, while Michael's mom intervened to control the dog. Suddenly, my perspective shifted dramatically. I found myself soaring upwards at an alarming speed, the blue sky darkening into the vast blackness of space. Surrounded by stars, the beauty of the cosmos was overwhelming, even as I accelerated through it. Then, I found myself in what seemed like a glass amphitheater, or a small auditorium, with the vastness of space and its twinkling stars visible outside. Ahead, two hooded, cloaked figures stood, one noticeably taller than the other, their faces obscured from my view. To my right, a group of people whispered in hushed tones, their voices tinged with surprise and urgency. Despite not recognizing them, a strange sense of familiarity enveloped me. The taller figure gestured for me to approach. As I moved closer, their concern became evident. I was not supposed to be there, not yet. The being, with a voice that resonated with kindness and warmth, informed me that my time had not come, and that I would have to return. They assured me, however, that we would meet again when it was the right time. In an instant, I was hurtling back to my 3-year-old self, now in our 1972 Ford Maverick, en route to the hospital with my dad driving and my uncle holding me. Throughout this entire ordeal, pain was absent from my sensations. Upon reaching the hospital, my consciousness detached once again, allowing me to observe the emergency staff as they worked on me. My stay in the hospital stretched close to a month, but I eventually made a full recovery, despite some scarring that remained as a testament to that day. This experience, so vivid and profound, has stayed with me, a reminder of the thin veil between our world and what lies beyond, and the unexpected journeys life can take us on. This story was shared by Rob D. and happened in 1973.
Story 4. I was smack in the middle of a deployment, deciding to brave the scorching 130-degree desert heat for a chill session with a good buddy of mine. We planned to meet at the smoke pit for some hookah time. I arrived a tad early, eager to unwind and get my smoke on. The pavilion was buzzing with folks just hanging out, soaking in the rare downtime. When my friend finally showed up, we dove into catching up, laughing, and just enjoying the moment. But then, Out of nowhere, I started feeling super nauseous and lightheaded. I knew I needed water stat. My friend, ever so helpful, dashed off to grab me some, while I, in a somewhat stubborn move, decided to follow, hoping the fresh air might do me some good. What happened next was straight out of a sci-fi movie. Suddenly, everything around me turned white, accompanied by this piercing, high-pitched noise. It felt as though I was being pulled upwards through a tunnel, but get this. I was moving backwards, not forwards. The world below seemed like it was under a microscope, and I was leaving it behind. The peace I felt in that moment was indescribable. All the earthly troubles, the heartache from a recent breakup, the stress and depression from being deployed, it all just vanished. I was floating in this serene, timeless white space, hearing the joyful chatter of loved ones I'd never met on Earth. And then, softly but firmly, I was told it wasn't my time. I had to go back. The next thing I knew, I was catching snippets of conversation about my blood pressure and the urgency of my situation. Yet everything around me was still enveloped in white. I felt a force pushing me back through the tunnel, and suddenly, the real world came rushing back. I woke up in the emergency room, the pain overwhelming me. My face was swollen, my left eye wouldn't open, and I realized I had collapsed from heat stroke right on the concrete path. Turns out, the folks at the pavilion were actually paramedics who sprang into action when they saw me go down. My friend, hearing the commotion, rushed back to my side. Reflecting on this experience, I'm filled with gratitude. It's given me a profound assurance that there's something beyond this life, a place of peace and love. I now firmly believe that heaven is real, and that knowledge has changed me in ways I'm still discovering. This story was shared by Elizabeth S. and happened in 2017.